feel like with the Four Nations tournament going on, we've just been so distracted by the most amazing hockey we've watched pretty much in a decade that, and for good reason, honestly, at that we haven't really, talked a lot about the Jets still and all the stuff going on right now, because even though this Four Nations tournament's going on, there's still stuff happening regarding the NHL and going into the trade deadline and whatnot, and lots of rumors being made. And we know that Chevy's working his magic right now. There's talks about contract extensions, there's talks about trades, and it makes perfect sense. With all this attention on the Four Nations tournament, Chevy can go in there and work his magic behind the shadows and potentially make a big move for the Jets. And even though this is old news at this point, I wanted to talk about it a couple of days ago, but I'm just getting over being sick and I lost my voice. But I still want to talk about it because I think it's a pretty good fit. Jacob Stoller the other day came out and talked about how, Jared McCann could be available going into the trade deadline this year, that the Kraken could move on from him and make him available. And I think that the Jets definitely should target that. I think a lot of people agree with that at this point. I've seen other reports as well, like on hockey trade rumors and whatnot, talking about how Jared McCann just makes sense for the Jets, and that if he is available, and this is real, and it's credible that he is available on the market, that the Jets definitely could go for him. And I think it makes a lot of sense. When you look at what Jared McCann's been able to do his whole career, I've always been a big fan of him. Drafted by the Canucks, and he was traded way back in the day for Eric Branson, and I always thought that was a stupid move. He's had a pretty solid career, even this year on the inconsistent Kraken team, 42 points. And like I said, you look at this career, and he's really, been kind of underrated his whole career. He was pretty damn good in Vancouver as a rookie, got traded over to Florida from that Eric Branson trade, spent some time there, went to Pittsburgh, and then has been with the Kraken for a while now. And, he had a 30-goal season not too long ago with the Kraken, and he's just been playing really well. And, he's got 2 years left on this contract at $5 million. He is affordable. He is a good top six option, and I think that he would have a lot of chemistry, potentially slotting in on that Jets second line. I think that he could really fit in and play well. When you look at what the Jets have there right now, Jared McCann's always been a really skilled goal scorer. He has good chemistry with a lot of guys that are similar to the play style of like a Cole Perfetti and a Nikolai Ehlers. So because of who he's played with in the past in his career, I could definitely see him fitting in well. So I think that it would be definitely a good fit. And but the big thing with Jared McCann, I think a lot of people as well are focused on, is the fact that he's got term. Like, I think we're all really sick of this conversation every year, even though it's exciting to talk about rumors and speculate, because, we're all sports fans, and let's be real, being armchair GMs is a pretty fun thing to do if you're a real passionate sports fan. But I think we all, at this point, as Jets fans, would really like the Jets to actually find a stable center to have for a couple of years, Like, they've never found that guy to have for more than kind of a one-year situation. Even with Monahan, Stastny, he came back eventually, but it wasn't a consistent thing there. Same with Kevin Hayes. Like, the Jets have never really acquired that legit second-line center with term to really shore things up and really cement a window, Like, obviously the Jets have been really good in years past. I'm not saying they haven't, but like that, they're always looking for that player, right? They're always looking for that second line center, and there's always questions about, weaknesses that the Jets might have. They never really get to address those issues, and they always seem to be there. And, finding a guy in this year's deadline and acquiring him with term could really be the right move, I think, for the Jets, and especially if he's got, the right kind of culture player as well, which I think Jared McCann is. I think that would really work well for this team and organization to have that term, to have that stability and consistency, knowing what you're going to get from that second line spot, and not have to keep looking at, maybe guys playing out of their weight class and having to acquire a new center every trade deadline. And I think that, like I said earlier in this video, that I think Ehlers and Cole Perfetti would really benefit from that. And I think finding Ehlers as well, a consistent line mate, like, look, Nikki, if you want to sign here, even a 3-year deal or something like that, for this window, we have a guy now that you can play with that's signed, that it's not going to be some random thing of who you're going to play with. It's not going to be wait till we acquire a guy to really solidify your line type situation. And I think that's exactly what the Jets need to do to really help bonify that top six. Even though we know how skilled it is, to stop all these questions every year about who's the second line center and what they're going to do there, acquire a guy this year with term. Don't look at it as a rental situation. Go out and find that player that can really make a difference, for for this window the Jets are in. Like, there shouldn't have to be this question every year of finding a guy, you know, that's going to be a rental. And I think that when you do that and having to bring that in, find the right guy, it can, you know, put a lot of stress on the GM. And then do you make that right decision? Kevin Hayes, was that a good fit, you know? And then sometimes you force players like they did with Cody Eakin back in the day. I just think that if you want to really build, you know, a stable top six that we know with real consistency and stop these trade questions every year about who's the 2C, I think acquire a guy with term. And if Jared McCann is available, like, why not go for him? He fits the window. His contract's fair. He's not overpaid. And with the cap going up, Jared McCann at $5 million really is not that much of a burden. I think it's honestly could work out to be kind of a steal, especially with Perfetti needing a contract, Neil Pionk going to be needing a contract, Velarde as well. Like, I think it makes a lot of sense that where Jared McCann is with the points that he's had, you know, 379 career points in 643 games, 42 points this year, 57 games, 14 goals. He has a +7. He plays in the power play. He can really fit in anywhere and answer a lot of needs the Jets have, you know, going into this final run of the season. And I think it would just make a lot of sense for them to look at the Kraken as a trade partner. You know, also they have Alexia back there who they could be looking at trading as well. That's a tough defenseman that would kind of fit that need that the Jets have been looking for when it comes to a two-way defenseman that can, you know, be really physical and provide extra offense and size, and also more importantly, effective size that would push Logan Stanley out of the lineup. So you wouldn't have to rely on a guy that's inconsistent to be a, you know, physical presence, and you could actually have a reliable defenseman who already brings that physical defensive play to his game. I think it just makes a lot of sense. You know, at the end of the day, getting back to the playoffs and being the best version of the Jets they can be, we already know how good they are. So if they're going to add the right pieces going forward. And I think that, again, Jared McCann with term, a really good option. I've liked Brock Nelson. You know, we've talked about him in the past about that could be a really good, you know, top six option. And I'm still in favor of that, especially watching him play for Team USA in this Four Nations tournament. But there is no term there, right? You're going to need to give him a new contract. And does he sign with Winnipeg? What's the deal? I don't know. And then if we lose him come off season again, the Jets are still going to be a good team, looking to compete next year, I would imagine, with the team that they have. So, you know, you're going to have to acquire another center next year. So maybe finding that guy with term, you know, that really I think would fit in well with an Ehlers, with a Perfetti, you know, fit well in the power play. Why not make that your move? You know, I think it makes a lot of sense. That's exactly what I would do, honestly, if I was the Jets. That's exactly where I would focus, is finding a guy with term, because I think that's what Chevy should be doing. I think that in the past, Chevy has made some mistakes in acquiring guys that don't want to necessarily be here. You know, for example, last year I know they went in for Monahan, but losing him, that was a big loss, I think, for this organization. I know there was a lot of, you know, questions about Monahan and keeping him within the fan base, but again, I think they really hoped that he would sign here. They just haven't been able to find that guy to be here for more than a year. So maybe Jared McCann could be that guy. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, make sure to follow me on Twitter. Check out the new Instagram account. All the other affiliate links down in the description below. Peace, love, and positivity as always. Go Jets, go. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one. It'll all be over.